This is the cutting and embossing machine to do linoleum printing. First thing you have is the press, and then you'll have this packet. So to lock it onto the surface, you will let down the platforms first, and it will lock it in place. The settings are these three: 3D emboss, letterpress 2D emboss, and die cut. This being the tightest, this being less tight, and this is the least tight. So for the thickness of our linoleum block, we will be using a 3D emboss setting. And on the knob on the bottom, it will allow you to do micro adjustments relative to those settings. So we can start at 0 and then make it looser or tighter relative to how much embossing we want on our relief linoleum block printing. By opening the bed, you will find a handle. Close the bed. So on the handle, you'll find a lock and unlock icon. So you will hold down this button to the unlock setting as we apply it to the knob. You just hold it down, let for this to be completely flat, and then let go. So then we'll be able to activate our handle. So also will come is a packet here, and in this plastic will have 4 surfaces. The first being felt, second being an adapter, the third being a cutting mat, and lastly a platform. For this process, we will be only using the platform as well as the felt blanket. Alright, so these are the materials that will be used for printing. So we have a glass palette for rolling out our ink, we have our carved linoleum block, we have our palette knife, we have our brayer, we have paper. We'll be using BFK Reeves, and then we have our Speedball relief ink, which is water-based. You'll be able to use other water-based relief inks or other oil-based inks. We also suggest using acrylic inks if you are using oil-based inks, and then lastly a rag for cleanup. So we'll be applying the relief ink onto our glass palette, and then I'll be rolling out the ink. Smooth it out so it's not as thick. So I'll be applying it to the block. Okay. So now we will be applying our relief block to our platform. So you want to center it on the platform, and our dry BFK Reeves paper will be placed face down on the block. And then lastly, the felt blanket on top of our paper. So now we will adjust the settings. I'm going to make it slightly tighter. I'm going to start at -1, and your preference will be relative to how much emboss you would want on your print. So now we're going to place the platform on the bed, and because of the thickness, you might have to push it a little bit till you reach the linoleum block. Once you get there, the handle should take care of the rest. Once we hear the drop off, we can just pull the platform out, take our felt blanket off, and there's our print. So relative to wanting a deeper emboss, we would just tighten the press by pushing in and pulling it more, so that we can have maybe a little bit more emboss on our print, or less emboss by going the other direction.